Gwen or Gweniiebear if you don't know me. If you already know me, what's up? I'm Gwen. I cosplay and I stream occasionally. So I'm bored and I've been doing lots of upgrades to my Killjoy cosplay from Valorant. If you don't know her, this is what she looks like. But I got a new 3D printer recently and I decided I wanted to upgrade her cosplay since it is one of my favorites. It's one of my most important cosplays to me. And so there's just some little pieces on the cosplay that I bought that are not super accurate, not good quality, and I just want to make it look more accurate to the in-game model. So without further ado, let me kind of give you a tour on what I've been doing. One of the first things I did that I really wanted to do that was bothering me was her little leg piece that is attached to her belt. It came like this. It's just foam. It doesn't have the correct detail on it, and so I 3D printed this one and I sanded it and primed it, and then I painted it to look kind of weathered in metal, and I'm really happy with how that turned out. I also added some foam, some gray foam, and I painted it to look kind of weathered to stick on here because she doesn't have a brown bag and this bag came brown. So what I did is I just took some fabric paint marker and just colored this green, and then I added the foam for this piece, and this little yellow tab is just also made out of foam that I glued there. This I made was already on the bag. I made this a while ago, but I am going to replace it with a 3D printed one since I didn't do a very clean job and the paint is cracking and it just doesn't look as clean as I would like it to look, and so I am going to replace this with 3D printed. And then I'm also going to replace this buckle with a 3D printed one because this is not the right kind of buckle. It's not the right design. I tried to kind of add a design by just coloring it in, but I don't like how that looks. And this is functional, but the way I put this piece on, I don't actually end up using this buckle. And so I'm going to replace this one with a non-functional 3D printed one. So I'm not worried about that actually being functional. I just want it to look good. And I did add some of the details that were on the belt that this belt did not come with. So, but yeah, that is the belt. I'm very happy with how it looks. It just looks a lot better. The other thing that I replaced was her bracelet. This one's got some discoloration. I made this out of foam. It's not the right shape, and the Velcro was really starting to come off, and it was good for a while, but it definitely has run its course. So I made a 3D printed one. I decided to splice it in half because if it was whole and I were to slide it on my wrist, it would be way too big. And so I spliced it in half and then I sanded it, there were like some messed up pieces, but I filled that, painted it. As of right now, it's just being held together with some Velcro, but I did order some magnets. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna Dremel out a little hole to stick the magnets in, and that way it will look more clean. Because right now when I wear it, you can obviously see the gap and it just doesn't look like one solid piece, and I want it to look like a solid piece, obviously. But yeah, so I'm gonna try the magnets, and that way there won't be a little gap in between there, and we'll see if that works or not. So the next step that I'm working on is replacing all of these fabric buckles. Hers in the game are obviously metal. And so I have some printed out that I'm gonna use to replace all of these, as well as this zipper tie here. I'm gonna put a real, a 3D printed one there. And then I haven't decided if I wanted to fully replace the zipper or if I just want to go ahead and paint this blue, because I mean, this is kind of it's just kind of like two pieces of fabric stuck together, and hers is blue, it's not black, but I might just paint it and see how it looks. And if it looks like crap, then I will try to just replace the whole thing. So with all that being said, here are all the pieces of the things I'm going to replace. So the next step for me is to sand all of these down, do some priming, and then just get to painting. And actually, since these turned out a little smoother than some of the other pieces I've printed, I'm probably gonna skip using the bigger grit, and I'm just gonna go in with some of the 400 grit. I will use some of this filler and sandable primer. I love this stuff. It's super easy to use. I'm using it for the alarm bot. That's what that gray stuff is on there. You just spray it on and it fills any little imperfections, and that way you can sand it down and make it even more smooth. It's a lot easier than using any kind of Bondo filler. I will use this to fill bigger imperfections, but just to smooth out everything evenly, this is perfect for that. Okay, I think I cut off like some parts in between clips and everything of things that I did, but that's because I moved twice. I moved literally 3 times in 6 months and I got like off track. But yeah, okay, so here kind of is the final look. You know, we got the 3D printed pieces, the lovely bracelet and gloves that I made. Got the leg piece here. Clown shoes, of course. I didn't do anything to those yet. I definitely am gonna weather them eventually. I got my hat from Riot. It was a gift, but I do have the official Killjoy hat now, so that's kind of exciting. And yeah, here's the finished alarm bot. Super cute, love her. We also made glitch pop vandals in between moving, so there's some of the details on that. But yeah, that is kind of the completed Killjoy cosplay for now. Of course, I'm gonna wear it to a con today, so I'm gonna kind of get an idea of things that maybe I want to adjust or change further. I know eventually I want to make a new shirt for her, one that doesn't have the v-neck, because I know she doesn't have skin really showing right here. So I either need to get a longer bandana or a higher neck shirt. So I'm sorry for the choppy tutorial. I'm really trying to do better about it in the future, but Killjoy out.